Book of Gates. 25 languages. Ra traveling through the underworld in his bark, from the copy of the Book of Gates in the tomb of Ramses I, KV 16. This article needs additional citations for verification. Please help improve this article by adding citations to reliable sources. Unsourced material may be challenged and removed. Find sources: Book of Gates News Times Newspapers Times Books Times Scholar Times Chester, September 2021. Learn how and when to remove this message. The Book of Gates is an ancient Egyptian funerary text dating from the New Kingdom. 1. The Book of Gates is long and detailed, consisting of 100 scenes. 2. It narrates the passage of a newly deceased soul into the next world, journeying with the sun god, Ra, through the underworld during the hours of the night towards his resurrection. The soul is required to pass through a series of gates at each hour of the journey. Each gate is guarded by a different serpent deity that is associated with a different goddess. It is important that the deceased knows the names of each guardian. Depictions of the judgment of the dead are shown in the last 3 hours. The text implies that some people will pass through unharmed, but others will suffer torment in a lake of fire. At the end of Ra's journey through the underworld, he emerges anew to take his place back in the sky. 3. History, edit. The text was not named by the Egyptians. It was named by French Egyptologist Gaston Maspero, who called it Livre des Portes, Book of Gates. Many scholars have studied, deciphered, and translated the book from Jean-François Champollion to Eric Hornung and Alexander Piankov, the latter two being the ones to create the designation of hours and divisions, respectively. 4. 5. It was discovered in tombs of the 19th and 20th dynasties, but the earliest known appearance is in that of Horemheb in the 18th dynasty, though this version is incomplete. 4. Prior to its appearance in Horemheb's tomb, the Amduate was the commonly used funeral text among royals in their tombs. 6. Appearances, edit. Various scenes from the Book of Gates have been depicted in many tombs from the New Kingdom, ranging from Horemheb. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Part of a scene of the 4th hour of the Book of the Gates. From KV, Tomb of Ramses 4. KV 9, Tomb of Ramses v6. 4th corridor, decoration on left wall, 9th division of the Book of Gates. DC 1295 BC, to Rameses 7, DC 1130 BC. Seti I has the first complete inscription decorating his sarcophagus, as well as the first half of the book decorating the pillared halls of his tomb. 7. Horemheb has the earliest depictions of the book decorating the walls of his tomb. The 2nd through 6th hours are on the wall of his burial chamber. This was significant because it broke the traditional use of the Amduate usually displayed on walls of burial chambers prior to Horemheb. 4. 5. In many of the tombs, partial scenes from the Book of Gates are inscribed on the pillared walls, like in Rameses II's tomb. Other kings, like Rameses VII, only had selections from the hours depicted in their tombs. 3. They also appear in the tomb of Sennacherib, a worker in the village of Dar el Medina, the ancient village of artists and craftsmen who built pharaonic tombs in the New Kingdom, and in the tomb of Tianfa, a priest of Amun. 3. The book was less popular to display in tombs of people of non-royal lineage. They tended to depict the Book of the Dead, but it wasn't uncommon to find the Book of Gates alongside it. In some cases, only a few scenes were depicted interspersed with the Book of the Dead. 3. 4. Relationship to the Amduate, edit. Closely related to the Book of Gates is the Book of Amduate, also known as the Book of the Hidden Chambers, 8, which also follows Ra's journey through the underworld but with some differences. It accompanies the Book of Gates in many tombs because it is a guide to the deceased's soul's journey and the deities it will encounter in the underworld. According to Mohammed Ragheb Dada, the main difference between the book's purpose is that the Book of Gates acts as a guide about the dangers that the deceased soul will encounter and what must be done to pass through each gate in order to be resurrected. It is believed the books are both often depicted in tombs because on their own, they are not a sufficient guide for the soul to complete its journey with Ra. 6. The biggest difference between the Book of Gates and Amduate are the Serpent Gate deities guarding the doorway for each hour. These doorways and serpents are named throughout the journey and need to be named in order to cross into the next hour. On the other side of each door are two more guardians and Uriah that emit fire. 4. The Book of Going Forth by Day also contains similar doorways in the underworld. 7. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Illustration of figures from the 4th division of the 5th hour at the tomb of Seti I depicting an Egyptian, Asiatic, Nubian and Libyan. The gods that make up the crew of the solar bark are different between the Amduate and the Book of Gates. In the Amduate, the solar bark is larger, whereas in Book of Gates, the crew is made up of only Heka and Sia. These are the only two who are in the boat with Ra along the entire journey through the underworld. 7. The hours of the Book of Gates, edit. The hours of the Book of Gates follow Ra's journey across the underworld during the 12 hours of the night. Ra leads the deceased soul through a series of gates to reach his resurrection. The soul must get past each gate deity by knowing their name and attributes. The Book of Gates is a series of 100 images broken into 3 registers for each hour depicting the journey. Each image is accompanied by text describing the details of each register. 7. 6. At the end of each hour, the deceased soul encounters a gate guarded by a serpent deity that they must know the names and characteristics of in order to pass through unharmed. Hour 1. This is Ra's arrival into the underworld and greeted by the gods of the west, which refers to the western horizon. This scene depicts Ra in the scarab god form of Khepri, who is surrounded by a snake god for protection on his solar bark. The solar bark is sailing through the mountains depicted in the scene. There are also images of standards, one with a jackal head and one with a ram, held by bearded gods Set and Tat. 9. This hour is different from the others because it is the only scene where Ra and the deceased soul are not in the underworld. Hour 2. Once the boat passes between the western mountain, it reaches the door to the 2nd division. This door is guarded by the serpent Saraset. The door itself is named Watcher of the Desert. The accompanying text speaks of the darkness beyond the door until the God manifests in his godly form. Surrounding the boat are bound men guarded by Atum. The text refers to these men as damned and blessed by Ra, where they are to either take their place in the afterlife, the blessed, or be destroyed by the serpent, the damned. The blessed make offerings to the doorway of the serpent named Winding One, guarding the next door. 7, 6, 10. Hour 3, just beyond the door, named Piercing of Embers, are 12 mummies who are protected by a fire-breathing snake at the front and back of the corridor. Ra demands the fire penetrate the dark corridor where it illuminates a lake of fire that the mummies are surrounding. The solar bark crosses the lake and the other side. Ra calls for the mummies to unwrap themselves and explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. On the wall, evocation of the 5th division of the Book of Gates. The Court of Osiris. Book of Gates, 6th division. P/7th hour, H, middle. Register, scene 45, enemies bound to jackal-headed pillar. Scene from Tomb of Ramses III. KV 11. Be given breath and offerings for pulling the solar bark. The accompanying text states Ra asks for safe passage across the lake of fire for the worthy blessed souls. Once the boat reaches the next gateway, the entire scene is drenched in darkness again. 6, 7, 11. Hour 4, once through the gate, Ra is bathed in darkness. The bark is pulled along by 4 gods until it reaches building containing 9 shrines that contain 9 mummified gods. These are the gods who follow Osiris, who are in their abodes. These gods protect the Ba. In front of this shrine house are 2 groups of 6 goddesses guarding a hill to land, on the left, and 1 to water, on the right, separated by a giant serpent. The land on the left shows Osiris mummified. Behind Osiris are 12 gods guarding pits of fire. The right path over water is the lake of life. 7, 12. Hour 5, this is the judgment of Osiris scene. The solar bark is pulled along by the 4 gods of the Duat or underworld. They are pulling the bark towards 9 gods, holding a long serpent named Inuchi, who is the god Apep. In front of these 9 gods are 12 additional gods deemed the souls of the men who are in the Duat. Ra instructs these gods to attack the serpent so it is not able to travel through the gateway. In the next sequence of the scene, Horus is depicted presiding over the men, the 4 ethnicities of man: Egyptian, Asiatics, Nubian, Libyans, 16 in total. These groups represent how all are welcoming in the afterlife. Horus grants protection of the men and gives them offerings. There is another gateway which leads to the Judgment Hall of Osiris. This is where Osiris weighs the soul of the deceased against evil. 13, 6, 7. Hour 6, once he has been judged, Ra passes through the gateway. There, Ra is rejoined with his Ba. In this scene we see mummies with tridents protecting Ra from the serpent Apep as he is reuniting with his Ba. As Ra rejoins his Ba, he breathes life into the mummies that guard him, granting them their resurrection. At the end of the scene, Ra casts his enemies into the flames of the lake of fire. 7, 14. Hour 7, Ra passes through the gate guarded by one who seizes with his eye In this scene Ra comes before 12 men who carry Ma'at feathers depicting they have been judged to be true and good. These 12 are offered libations for the afterlife. It is also depicted that those that were judged to be evil are tied to jackal-headed stakes of Jib, awaiting their punishment. The scene also shows those that have been judged as true tending to fields of grain with Ra presiding over them. This represents the manifestation of a bountiful harvest year in the upper world. 7.15. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. KV17, the Tomb of Pharaoh. Seti I of the 19th dynasty. Pillared chamber F, southeast wall. Decorated with the scenes from Hour 8, the next gate Ra passes is guarded by 9 gods just inside the door. The serpent guarding the door is named Closed Avi. Through the door, Ra is greeted with deities holding a long rope from Achan. These rope bearers bring forth the hours of the day. They tie up Achan and give praise to Ra. 7.16. Hour 9, Ra passes through the gateway guarded by flaming of face. The doorway itself is named Glowing One. Past the door Ra comes to an island of fire and the waters of Nun which has people floating in it. They will be restored and given breathe when they emerge. The island of fire is depicted for Horus to burn those that he has condemned, those who have done evil against the sun god. 7.17. Hour 10, Ra progresses through this scene trying to defeat Apep. At the end of the scene, Apep is captured by the gods standing before the solar bark, holding nets. In this hour, is also a reconciliation between Horus and Seth which symbolizes the uniting of Upper and Lower Egypt under the sun god as begins to rise over the lands and bring a new day. 7.18. Hour 11, Apep is still captured and punished in this scene by Horus' 4 sons and Jib. After the destruction of Apep, Ra is surrounded by all types of deities for protection that pull him along the sky. As Ra comes to the gate, there are 2 scepters, one labeled Osiris and the other Horus. The writing by the scepters speaks praise of Ra and tells of his soul and body in heaven and earth, respectively. 19.7. Hour 12, Ra exits the afterworld. The scene shows many figures holding various objects from scepters to stars to discs. They represent various aspects of helping Ra take his place during the daytime hours. Ra passes Apep being punished again by the Ennead, 9 gods who helped Ra along his journey. Once Ra passes through the final gate of the underworld, he is in the waters of Nun, who lifts the boat up. Ra is once again in the form of Khepri. Nun raises the solar bark into the awaiting arms of Nut. 27. The 4th division of the 5th hour, edit. One of the most well-known scenes in the Book of Gates is in its 4th division section of the 5th hour. Gods are depicted in the upper row. They also carry the body of a serpent. Hieroglyphs meaning lifetime can be seen in the lower register. At the beginning of the lower register are 16 figures in repetitive sets of 4 being led by Horus into the afterworld. The 4 beings correspond to the 4 ethnicities. People were categorized in Egyptians, Remtu, Asiatics, Amu, Nubians, Nessi, Libyans, Themehu. These beings explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. The Book of Gates, Valley of the Kings, Egypt. From 3 different tombs. Illustration of figures from the 4th division of the 5th hour in at 1, tomb of Seti I, 2, tomb of Mirantar and 3, tomb of Ramesses III. Illustration of the 4th division of the 5th hour at the tomb of Seti I, full 4 sets of 4 figure types, as appears in tomb, starting bottom left, led by the god Horus, are represented because all people are welcome and must make the journey to the afterworld. 3. Nubians are depicted in consistent ways in all 3 tombs. Although they are bare-chested both at the tomb of Seti I and the tomb of Mirantar, but not at Ramesses III, but in all 3 tombs the Nubian figures in this 3rd position are consistently beardless, have jet black skin and have a thick red sash that goes across their chest and also wraps around the waist and dangles down. However, unlike in the tomb of Seti I and the tomb of Mirantar, at the tomb of Ramesses III, a second virtually the same figure is also found in the 1st position, usually occupied by Egyptians. The hieroglyph usually representing Egyptians remains next to this figure in its traditional position. These 2 figures in the same garb at Ramesses III are similar in appearance to Nubians depicted in the tomb of Hui and in other Egyptian art, but similar figures are not found elsewhere in this tomb, although a great number of other typically depicted Egyptian figures are. Another peculiarity is that the Asiatic and Libyan are in consistent 2nd and 4th position at both Seti I and Mirantar tombs, but switch position at the tomb of Ramesses III, while the hieroglyphs do not. At Seti I and Mirantar tombs the Asiatic in the 2nd position is depicted, as is typical in much other art of the period, a bearded figure with a cloth headband with 2 excess pieces of the headband hanging down. Additionally, at these 2 tombs, Seti and Mirantar, a Libyan is at the end of the row, at the 4th position, and is depicted with typical Libyan features of the period, a side lock of hair and a long gown-like garment that is worn somewhat openly and with one or both shoulders exposed. However, while all the hieroglyphs in all 3 tombs remain in the same position, left to right, at Ramesses III, these 2 figures, Asiatic and Libyan, have switched position in comparison to the other tombs. The figures may have been created after a separate artisan had first rendered the hieroglyphs. The only figure at Ramesses III that is in the same position as the figures at Seti I and Mirantar tombs is the Nubian in the 3rd position. The hieroglyph position have no irregularities in type or sequence between each tomb. The first figure at the tomb of Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Ramesses III has a hieroglyph normally associated with Egyptians but may be placed next to the hieroglyph in error, which sometimes occurs in tombs, however the explanation remains unresolved. 4.1. Gallery, edit. The Tomb of Seti I. Pillared Chamber F. Relief from KV 17, the Tomb of Seti I detail of the Book of Gates. 5th hour. 4th hour of the Book of the Gates. From KV 2, Tomb of Ramses IV. Analysis, the time is like a serpent, of which the nocturnal hours are born like goddesses. After its trip they are devoured again by the serpent. The blue triangles represent the water in the underworld. Ra traveling through the underworld in his book, from the copy of the Book of Gates, in the tomb of Ramses I, KV 16. See also, edit. Book of the Dead. Gate deities of the underworld. Tekaha. Amduate. References, edit. 1 AB Hornung, Eric. The Ancient Egyptian Books of the Afterlife, in German. David Lawton. Translator. Cornell University Press. 2 The Book of Gates Index. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved 28 February 2024. 3 ABCDE Book of Gates Ancient Egypt Online. Retrieved 26 February 2024. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 4 ABCDEF done, Jimmy. The Book of Gates. To Egypt.net. Retrieved 2 December 2023. 5 AB Funerary Compositions. The Ban Mapping Project. 17 November 2020. Retrieved 14 March 2024. 6 ABCDEF Dada, Mohammed, 1 March 2020. The relation between scenes and texts of the Book of the Gates and Amduate applied on Seti I tomb. International Journal of Heritage, Tourism and Hospitality. 14, 300-324 do. 10.21608/8.2020.1558990. ISSN 2636-414X. 7 ABCDEFGHIJKLMNO The Ancient Egyptian Netherworld Books. Writings from the Ancient World. Translated by Darnell, John Coleman, Manasseh, Colleen. Atlanta, SBL Press. 2018 p. 249. ISBN 978. 0-88414-045-0. 8 Acknowledgements, The Sun God's Journey Through the Netherworld, Cornell University Press. pp. 9x, 31 December, 2018, retrieved 1 March, 2024. 9 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 2. The Antechamber of the Tuat. Sacred. Texts.com. Retrieved 13 March, 2024. 10 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 3. The Gate of Saraset, the Second Division of the Tuat. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved 13 March, 2024. 11 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 4. The Gate of Akibai. The Third Division of the Tuat. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved 14 March, 2024. 12 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter V. The Gate of Chetbi. The Fourth Division of the Tuat. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved 15 March, 2024. 13 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 6. The Gate of Tekkara. The Fifth Division of the Tuat. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved 15 March, 2024. 14 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 8. The Gate of Set Matef. The Sixth Division. Of the 28 continued. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. 15 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 9. The Gate of Acre Mate. The 7th division of the 28. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. 16 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter X. The Gate of Setra. The 8th division of the 28. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. 17 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 11. The Gate of Abita. The 9th division of the 28. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. 18 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 12. The Gate of Sethu. The 10th division of the 28. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. 19 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 13. The Gate of Amnetuef. The 11th division of the 28. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. 20 The Book of Gates, The Book of Gates, Chapter 14. The Gate of Sabi and Rari. The 12th division of the 28. Sacredtexts.com. Retrieved the 15th of March, 2024. Further reading, edit. Hornung, Eric, Apt, Theodore, editors The Egyptian Book of Gates. Translated by Eric Hornung. In collaboration with Theodore Apt. Living Human Heritage Publications, Zurich 2014. ISBN 978. 3-9523880-5-1. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Essay, Witchcraft, Magic and Divination in Ancient Egypt, Borgouts, in Civilizations of the Ancient Near East, PGS. 1775+, ISBN 0-684-19722-7, Volume 3. External links, edit. Sacred texts, Gate, images, hieroglyphs, transcription and English translation. Categories: Funerary texts in ancient Egyptian mythology, New Kingdom of Egypt. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.